Gundam.tk presents Core Booster. Hey, what's up everybody? Robert184 Gundam.tk, and I'm here to finish up my look at the Master Grade Core Booster version Katoki, and turn this Master Grade Victory Gundam into the V-Gundam as you see it on the left. Don't forget you get a whole bunch of cool weapons that you can see in the earlier part of the review. Now inside this part we have an interesting looking mount mechanism, and that's going to be able to slide up to allow this to bend once you put it into shoulder mode. But anyway, you're just going to attach this onto this peg here on the main body. And then you can choose either the Hexa or the V-Core Fighter, or the Victory Core Fighter. Bend those parts in, bend this part down, and then there's a huge hole there that's just going to get this part. And then besides the odd part falling off, the completed Master Grade Core Booster. And I have to say, first impressions, fantastic. If I had to buy this just for this with no extra weapons or anything else, A, because I love the core fighter design of the Victory Gundam, and especially the way the head pops up with the V-fin there, I think this just does a great job between the red stickers, the yellow trim, the red parts here that just fit perfectly under the wings, the way everything in the back fits together solidly. My only complaint so far is that this is not very solid. Maybe I'll find a better way to click that into place. But so far, without forcing it, that's as good as you're going to get. But the little details, like the way this slides forward around that white part there, I think that besides the bottom being a little bit drab because of these big ugly gray parts, this, based on looks alone, is a winner for me. If you want to use the action base they include, and why wouldn't you, unless you're looking for a different color, what you can do is you get this custom mount part here, and this is designed A, to go on this way if you're going to buy this one, and you can also put it on a regular 1/100th action base by using this part. Regardless, we're going to plug this into the bottom of this, and that works quite well when you put it on. Not a lot of difficulty putting that in. It's going to work with either of the bases. I tried the attachment part both ways. But at the end of the day, I don't know how crazy I am about that angle. So if I did use the action base, of course, you could choose your own angle. But that does look very, very cool whooshing forward. It's only unfortunate that they give you a black action base and a gray attachment. They could have sort of matched up those colors, but that's just a small nitpick. And as you've already seen with the Master Grade Victory Gundam, on the back of these core fighters there's a small slot there that you can plug this clear part which comes on the A plate into the back. So of course if you had a clear 1/100th action base you could plug that in while displaying the V Gundam, but in this case you can put the clear part on the front. And as they spin around here, you'll notice that the core booster, because of the mount mechanism, is a little bit offset to the left. But then again, that's not a terrible looking effect as they spin around. And I think that the combination looks very, very cool, especially because with having the Master Grade Victory Gundam, you could add a top fighter and a bottom fighter to that to make a pretty awesome looking space fleet. To get everything loaded on, you're going to pull out this peg on the Smart Gun, and once you've added on the missile pods, the disposable bazooka attaches on the top very easily, and with this peg pulled down, you can attach the Gatling gun. So this is the core booster in its ultimate tricked out form. Now of course this beam smart gun here at the bottom does not fit on well, and when you do that of course it's going to get in the way of the action base attaching to it, so that is probably going to come off for me 9 times out of 10 when you display it. But the missile pods do work well outside of having to pop off the white cap. The bazooka, its looseness disappears as it fits in there pretty well, although these two parts do sort of want to move off to the side. These parts get bent out of shape, of course, when you're trying to get everything into position. And the Gatling gun, of course, is what really adds its full oomph in terms of weaponry. With the beam smart gun out of the way, mounted there with a core fighter, that is a pretty armored looking vehicle there. I already have a review that you can check out of this old 1/100th Victory Gundam, but now it's time to turn this into the V- by just slapping the core booster onto its back. First, to get the Gundam itself ready, you're just going to seal these up and move this part up to slide it in. Slide these parts back down and then put the wings in. And then that interesting mount mechanism is going to allow these to pop out, and you can see here that this was properly attached and this one was not. And I remember being concerned about that joint early on, and I was right to be so. This one has stayed in there. But because this one has fallen out a couple of times now, this is already weakened to the point that you almost can't use it. Anyone who's been watching this site for a while knows that I'm a big fan of the anime. And when I put those on, and all of a sudden this turns into the V-Gundam, and it adds that much more bulk up to the top, good and bad, I'll talk about that in a second. Not to say that it's all good though, as mentioned I do have that one loose joint now, so right now these are able to move pretty well. You can move them around and blast, have them offset, have them in the same direction, whatever you want, resting on the shoulders or not. But having that one loose joint just makes everything a little bit of a pain. So that's something I'm not too happy about at all. And the other thing is, you guys can go double check the instruction manual on me, but when I was building this, it shows on the manual that you're able to push this into the body. But I've gone back and I've double checked everything, and it looks like you can't get it any more like that, because this bend mechanism only allows it to go down at a 90 and not any more. So unless I'm missing something, that seems a little bit out of place sticking out there in the back. For height comparison, though of course the overhang cannons add a huge amount of height compared to the regular V-Gundam, don't expect it all of a sudden to tower over other Gundams, because there we just have the regular Granddaddy RX-78-2 version 2.0, but with the shoulders on, it's not that far off from its beam sabers. Now to go about slapping on some of these extra weapons that they give you, these parts here, you're just going to put them on and they're going to clamp around that waist part, or that side skirt, and then when you do that you're able to bring them forward, but because you have that front skirt on, they do get in the way a little bit. Now the Victory Gundam Master Grade is ridiculously finicky and hard to pose, but anyway, here I've got the beam cannons hanging off to the sides, and though I cheated and took the fingers out, you can see it as it spins around that it's got them in hand, so you are able to have them down with the hands on the weapons, and when you combine that with the height added by the overhang cannons, it's actually a pretty cool effect, especially with the added color of the white and blue and that little bit of yellow on the back. So here I go trying to attach the missile pods onto the legs, and then you find out that you cannot. And the reason is this is designed primarily, you'll notice that there's not a deep enough hole there. So what you're supposed to do is that when this is in core booster mode, you take the white part off, and when you do that, you can plug this in. However, taking that white part off is going to mess up this red sticker around here. So not a lot of positives. I was really hoping that you could go sort of Zaku 2 style and put these on the legs along with all the other weapons, and then this guy would just be armed to the teeth, but that's not going to happen. The disposable bazooka as well does not work on the legs, or it doesn't work nicely on the hips unless you just want it to fall off at the slightest breeze that he encounters. So this is a little bit frustrating for me, but I've got my Ziploc here with all of the extra parts from the Victory Gundam, including all of these many manipulators, and it looks like I should have 8, I only have 7 here, which means the one that I want to use to attach the javelin is not here, unfortunately. So I'm going to have to go order that extra part. So here I've just switched the left hand's fingers onto the right hand's, and with the beam javelin a couple things, the peg doesn't stick out all that well, so it's not going to stay in place all that well, and they could have put indents around the base, etc. to make it a little bit longer. So this is probably the first and last time that I'm going to use this as a weapon. With the proper manipulator in place though, the Gatling gun ends up looking pretty good, hanging under the arm. Of course you'll have to do a little bit of fiddling to keep the elbow in the right place, etc. But it's not having any weight issues so far, and even though I complained about these manipulators before, this is one weapon that seems to fit pretty well. With the Beam Smart Gun, when you slide the handle all the way to the back there, it locks into place nicely, and again with the proper manipulator in place, you can have that in place, and though there's a little bit of weight issues because it's a pretty heavy weapon, if you brought the other hand across, I'm sure it would support it. So though I've cheated and used the open manipulator there just to sort of prop it up, you can have the Smart Gun propped up with both hands, the slides properly in place, and again, with that overhang pack on there, you have a much more impressive looking armed Gundam there. Not to mention the additional height that he gets. Add that on, and Skygrasper, eat your heart out.